Welcome to the second annual Citizen of the Year Awards, where we celebrate incredible Philadelphians showing us how citizenship is done. The Citizen of the Year is a perfect example of what we strive to do at The Citizen, whose mission is to revive democracy and citizenship in the American city where they were born. We do that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Democracy in the house.
Woo! We do that through solutions journalism on our website and on stage, and through calls to action, giving our audience the tools to make the change they want to see. Our winners tonight are all people who have done that. To give you an example of the impact our winners have, last year we gave our overall Citizen of the Year award to Dr. David Fakenbaum from Penn Medicine, who has set up a lab to identify alternate uses for medications that already exist. And just last week, a journal article touted the first patient who was cured of a disabling disease through Dr. Fakenbaum's research, which shows that it actually works. But he is a Philadelphia gem.
Are you going to thank them?
Oh, you think you?
Oh. So why do we do this? Many of you know or remember the late founding chairman of the Citizen, the civic disruptor, Jeremy Nowak, who talked often about the fact that there is nothing inevitable about a city. In fact, it's quite irrational. Let's take all these people from all these different walks of life, make them live on top of each other, and see what happens. What could go wrong, right? The reason we come together tonight for the second year in a row is to single out the civic innovators who actually make cities work, and who combined inspire us all to, as Roxanne said, to strive for the utmost in democracy and, yes, diversity, because that is the lifeblood of American cities.
So,
I will also say, we will be celebrating a Super Bowl champion MVP later on tonight, but we have, we can clap for that. Yeah. But we actually we'll be honoring tonight a team of all-stars who make us all want to do better every single day.
yes. So, we're going to do some thank yous before we get started. So first, I'd like to give a thank you to the Fittler Club, this beautiful space. If you see servers or anybody else here, please be sure to thank them. I want to thank our title sponsors, FS Investment, and Michael Foreman and Jennifer Rice, who we'll hear from a little bit later. And I just want to take a minute, if you will bear with me, to thank our incredible staff who have been here all day while Larry and I rolled in, but they have been doing this work for weeks and weeks and weeks to pull this together. In particular, Events Director Corey Moscow, Special Projects Director Jessica Blatt-Press, and Operations Director Ralph Thorne. Also, Laura McCutcheon, Bill Day, Olivia Cram, Courtney Duchesne, Christina Griffith, Malcolm Burnley, and JP Romney, who couldn't be here today. So please give them all.
And there's actually one member of that staff, Roxanne, left off that list, which is Roxanne Patel-Shepelavi, who is one of those leaders who like a great coach, who people just want to run through walls for. So Roxanne.
As opposed to banging our heads against the wall when Larry.
That's right.
That's a difference.
And speaking of that, I want to give a shout out to the public officials in the room. Last year, a city council person said to me, in response to my weekly rants in the Citizen, "Why does it always feel like you're scolding us?" So I want to make clear to those who I may scold, I have the utmost respect, we all do at the Citizen, the utmost respect for those who put their lives in Teddy Roosevelt's arena. And that's part of the reason why we're so engaged and speak the gospel of civic engagement so passionately. So I want to shout out, Governor Josh Shapiro is on his way. Former Mayor and Governor Ed Rendell is here tonight. Yeah, we'll see. We're naming our Lifetime Achievement Award for for the governor, and we'll see a cool video about him and maybe even hear from him. Former Philly Mayor Michael Nutter is in the house. Mixmaster Mike and I host a podcast with Kasim Reed in Atlanta, the former mayor of Atlanta, called How to Really Run a City. And if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's a lot of fun, but in keeping with one of the tenets I learned from Governor Rendell over many years, we take issues seriously, but don't take ourselves too seriously. Council President Kenyatta Johnson, who you'll hear from soon, is here. Councilmember Isaiah Thomas and Councilmember Jamie Gauthier are here and will be presenting. I believe I saw School Superintendent Tony Wallington here. So shout out to the superintendent. And finally, Ambassador David Cohen is in the house. Soon, perhaps, the governor of America's 51st state. But we'll see about that. And finally, just indulge me for one more minute. I want to thank our board. Jen Rice, who you'll hear from, Brett Perkins, Mia Fioravante, David Mazer, Karen Keating-Mara, Leah Popowich, Angela Val, the smartest bald man on television, Ali Velshi, and I'm friends with Smirkanish, and Velshi is the smartest bald man on television. And finally, Bob Keith. And if you could indulge me for just one second, I think it was Winston Churchill who defined a gentleman as someone who never offends someone accidentally. And that's how Roxanne and I think about Bob Keith. And I just want to say we've learned a lot. I have learned a lot about the dwindling art of gentlemanliness from Bob Keith. And our whole board has been so supportive. So thank you all so much for being here.
So we're going to get off the stage here, but let me just tell you how the night's going to work. We're going to hear from a few more people, and then we're going to leave you alone to eat for a little while. And then in about 20, 30 minutes, Ali Velshi would come up and say a few remarks and kick off the awards program. Feel free to, there's wine service at the table. Feel free to go to the bar, which is open if you want to grab a cocktail. And you want to introduce?
And next, we want to welcome our hosts this evening, Michael Foreman and Jen Rice.
Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. It's incredible room we have gathered here, and I think it's really a tribute to Larry and Roxanne and the great work that the Citizen does. And Larry mentioned a number of prominent Philadelphians, and to bring this crowd together is a tribute to the city and, you know, a bit of a solve for all that's going on in the world today. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for all the support. I've been a long time fan and supporter of the Citizen and all the great work that the Citizen does. And you know, the Citizen really challenges conventional wisdom, is willing to take a position, is willing to call out folks who aren't doing their job, is willing to support folks who are. They provide content, they provide a message. They're a clear, crisp voice and an honest voice in a time of chaos and uncertainty. So let's give a round of applause to Larry and Roxanne and all they do. You guys make Philadelphia better, and we're really proud to have you here in Philadelphia and all the hard work you do. So again, thank you all for being here. Let me turn it over to my wife, Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. As Larry mentioned, I am a proud board member of the Citizen. And as Michael mentioned, one of the things that we love most about this organization is it is a disruptor, but in such a Philadelphia way, in that it's disrupting in a way that half of the time it's telling all of us about the good stuff that is happening in Philadelphia, because some of the time we don't hear enough of that. We hear about some of the challenges, but when we do hear about the challenges, the Citizen is really good about telling us ways that we can engage, ways that we can make a difference, so we don't feel powerless in the face of really challenging times. So I appreciate that point of view from the Citizen. The first time I was at this event was the first time it was held last year. It was amazing. I came away feeling so hopeful and inspired. I learned so much about work that was being done that I had no idea was happening. My husband, Michael Foreman, was one of the honorees. He wanted me to say that Jalen Hurts is actually following in his footsteps. You're welcome. But I'm excited tonight. So tonight we have some great honorees. We have a teenage founder of a nonprofit. We have a public school teacher. Michael and I are the parents of a public school teacher, so we know how difficult that work is. We have a CEO, and as Larry mentioned before, we have a Super Bowl MVP. Let's hear it again. So thank you all for being here. I, like all of you, am really excited to learn about the honorees, and I'm going to turn it back over to Michael.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I was honored to be honored last year, and I'm happy to be here hosting with my FS colleagues year 2 of the Citizen Awards, which I think is going to become something really, really significant for the city. It's now my pleasure to introduce Kenyatta Johnson. And the council president, I'll let you clap in a second. Let me just give a little bit of content here. Council president was elected to council in 2012, recently assumed the presidency of council, and we are a much better city with the council president's leadership, whether it's gun violence, whether it's making the city better for business, whether it's thinking about issues of equity and diversity. I feel like we've got a fresh voice and real leadership on council, and I'm really proud to call council president my friend. I think he's doing a great job, so let's give Kenyatta a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. Y'all know I'm Baptist. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm good with call and response, and just want to take a moment to acknowledge Larry and Roxanne for hosting this event. Let's give Larry a real big round of applause, because I'm one of those elected officials that reads the Philadelphia Citizens. I think it's very thought-provoking, but most importantly, I'm reading it to get ideas on how we can continue moving the city of Philadelphia forward. Ideas from around the country on how we can think outside the box to move the city of Philadelphia forward. So we welcome the work that you are doing. I just want to personally say, keep up the good work. So let's give Larry another real big round of applause. I want to also just say thank you, Michael and Jennifer, for your acknowledgments, and I appreciate your support, and just want to say thank you very much. And also my good friend Richard Vague, who I was just with a few minutes ago on our Tax Reform Commission to make sure we're a competitive city when it comes to job growth and development as we address the issue of poverty here in the city of Philadelphia. So Richard, just want to thank you as well. But I'd be remiss if I didn't just take a moment to acknowledge America's mayor, America's governor. Let's give Governor Ed Rendell a real big round of applause. We appreciate your hard work and your dedication. And, you know, I recognize I didn't get here by myself. The Gov has always been supportive of me. And recently we were able to save a building on the Avenue of the Arts and make sure it remains the Avenue of the Arts with Lindsay Scanapico and her new project. And so let's continue your life and your legacy along that part of the district. And I'll wrap up by just acknowledging my big brother, Mayor Michael Nutter. So thank you very much for your hard work. Listen, This event is very, very inspiring for me because when I first came last year, you got a chance to see heroes and citizens in the city of Philadelphia that are sung and unsung. This event has actually took time to acknowledge those individuals from the block captains to the CEOs. And as a public servant, we know that we cannot do this work without people what I call boots on the ground, people who are leading our city with ideas that are helping us transform this city to be one of the greatest cities in America. I had an opportunity to also talk to a young lady from CHOP who came up with the cure for sickle cell in this very same room this evening. That's what this work is all about. So if we're ever going to be a great city, we have to support the citizens who are out there working day in and day out. And so I just want to thank you, Larry, for allowing me to come and say a few words to all the honorees. Let's give them a round of applause and say congratulations. We will have, Larry will make sure that all of you receive a city council proclamation on my behalf, just supporting you and encouraging on your efforts. I acknowledge my councilwoman, Councilman Jamie Gauthier, and I've seen Isaiah Thomas around here somewhere. I want to acknowledge him and his hard work as well for the work that they're doing. So listen, I just want to thank you. Let's continue to keep moving the city of Philadelphia forward. And so all the honorees this evening, celebrate this moment, right? We've been doing this work and a lot of people are feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, but I believe in the city of Philadelphia, regardless of what's going on. We're in a great space. You're going to be honoring a great person with the Super Bowl Eagles. We also have Connor Barwin, who's an Eagles player as well with us this evening. So we got to keep that spirit up of coming together, working together, and most important, I believe that will propel us and continue to keep us moving the city of Philadelphia forward. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage Citizen Board Member and MSNBC host, Ali Velshi.
Thank you. Thank you, friends. I can never keep it together through that pledge. I can't even believe this is the second year because that means the first one was last year and this has been like 16 years. Because the world has changed in the last year a lot. And I love the fact that we're in a room full of people who have views that are held across the political spectrum and that this is one of those venues in which we can come together and talk and hopefully argue sometimes. But that's not what's going on out there. So while a lot of people tonight will be focused on the beauty and the distinction of Philadelphia, I have a slightly different message, and that this is actually democracy. This is what we need in this moment. I've been having conversations with people for several months, as I'm sure you all have had, but more so in the last couple of months, about what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to do about the world, what we're supposed to do about our country, what we're supposed to do about democracy. This is not about what your political views are. It's not. I'm a pluralist. I think that nobody should be convincing other people about their political views. We should have a broad spectrum of views, and we should be debating those in the public square a lot. But democracy itself is being questioned. Democracy itself is being attacked. And the answer to that is what you in this room who are going to be honored in a few minutes do. You keep things going on your block. You keep things going in your ward, in your city, in your state. You do the things you have to do to help those around you. Yes, you stand up to authority. Yes, you definitely vote. But you also take care of each other. You just got to put one foot in front of the other, and then you come out on nights like this and you congratulate and you support and you encourage and you inspire those who have done that quietly in their corners of the city, in their labs, in their classrooms, in their offices. You honor them, and they honor you, and you hold each other. And you say, we'll get through this. We will get to the other side and be a country in which political views and speech are protected, and that we will argue with each other, and we will not agree with each other, and we will throw each other out of office, and the others will get elected, and then we'll throw those bums out. That's the way it's supposed to work. We don't all have to be on the same side of anything, but we do have to make this place work. And what you will see tonight, one after another, is people who get up every day and they make things work. You know, I have a this book club, the banned book club. I mean, I didn't know 3 years ago that I would be celebrating librarians who weren't looking for this fight. They just go out there and they do what they have to do in the face of threat. All those people who helped us during COVID, the health workers we didn't know about, the service workers who were essential, we didn't know, but they were keeping our society going. There are many, many people like that who need our help and our support today, including many government workers. I am one of those people who would like to pay lower taxes. I would like to have the most efficient government we can. We can get there. There are ways of doing that. But there are people, the Uber driver who got me here tonight said, he was asking me about all these people who have been laid off. He says, don't they all have families? Yeah, they do all have families. So this is our moment. This is our moment to do what those people in that video said. Understand that the most important person in America is not the person who's getting the most coverage these days. It's you. It is the citizen. It is the American citizen. It is the Philadelphia citizen. You are the people who matter. You are the people who will change things. You are the people who will drive democracy. You are the people who will protect democracy. You have no choice. Your ancestors, my ancestors, the people who founded this country, the people who came to this country without choice, did not give us the right to stop putting one foot in front of the other and carrying on. And that's why I leave tonight. When I leave tonight, I'm going to be in a much better place than I woke up this morning, because I'm going to believe that I'm surrounded by people who are doing what we are called upon to do. We are here to change the city, to change the state, to change this country, and to lead the world. So congratulations in advance to all of you. Let's get this awards show started.
Now, please welcome our first presenter of the evening, Councilmember Jamie Gauthier.
Good evening, everyone. I'm absolutely honored to be here tonight among so many changemakers. My primary mission as a district council member is putting City Hall to work for the communities I represent. But I can't do this without the West and Southwest Philadelphia community of dedicated block captains. Block captains are City Council's eyes and ears. As we continue to contend with challenges like gun violence and housing insecurity, block captains help us develop and implement community-based solutions. And no one exemplifies this more than our Block Captain of the Year, Diana C. Coleman. Diana may be relatively new to South Paxson Street, but thanks to her drive, it has only taken her a few years to solve deeply rooted problems and improve the lives of hundreds of her neighbors. I have only been given 2 minutes to speak, so rather than listing everything that Diana has done, I want to specifically uplift her community garden, the community garden that she created. Since assuming office, I've pushed the city to boldly invest in cleaning and greening, not just because it looks nice, but because interventions like community gardens are proven to reduce violent crime by 29% in the immediate area and significantly improve the mental and physical health of neighbors. I was very excited when Mayor Parker made this one of her top priorities. But we need block captains like Diana to help us turn a piece of legislation into something Philadelphians can see, touch, and feel. Southwest Philadelphia has been practicing urban agriculture long before it was the cool thing to do. Diana and her neighbors continue this proud tradition today. Thanks to Diana, her neighbors have access to nutritional food and a new green space for the young and young at heart to gather and build community. Residents also report hearing fewer gunshots since Diana took the lead with this garden. I am proud that my office played a small role bringing the Verna Williams Community Garden to life. The city giving block captains the tools and resources they need to bring a block's vision to life. This is what municipal government is all about. So Diana, thank you for everything that you do to make South Paxson Street a safer and more vibrant place to live. And as a token of my appreciation, well, I'm presenting you with this awesome award, but secondarily, as a token of my appreciation, I also brought a citation from City Council congratulating you on being named Block Captain of the Year.
Thank you so much. Hi. So I wasn't here as a disruptor, but I have been disrupting some things. I'm here as the Block Captain of the Year. And so with that, I want to say a few words. Well, there are a lot more than a few, but it should be a human right to live in an environment that is healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But so often that right is only granted to those with privilege. So often that right is only granted to those who have access, leaving those who have historically been disenfranchised and victimized by institutional racism and exposed to environmental inequities to experience disparities in health, income, and overall well-being. For decades, injustices have plagued our urban communities, Black and brown. In the underfunded schools that our children attend, the disinvested neighborhoods where they live and play, the chemically infused foods that we eat, the toxic water. Generation after generation, our people become weakened and psychologically conditioned to accept their place and expect no more. That we become desensitized to the trash, the potholes, the dilapidated buildings. We become too familiar with going to schools and walking through metal detectors and learning with little to no natural light, heat, or air. It becomes the norm to shop at foods, at poppy stores, McDonald's, and Popeyes. When I first moved to Philadelphia 15 years ago, I lived in Bala Kenwood and East Falls, very different neighborhoods, where it was green, clean, and safe. Not realizing that just a few blocks away, the neighborhoods over in Southwest Philly, my future home would be different. When I moved to Southwest Philly, I immediately noticed a stark difference between how people lived, ate, spent their time, and saw the world around them. People appeared to be merely existing, not living, not thriving, just surviving. From vandalizing buildings, hurting animals, others, and themselves, I saw kids in the streets alone, needing direction, wanting to be noticed. Trash cracks, potholes were in abundance, and gun violence lit the streets and the lights, in the skies. Old piping, mold, mental health, substance use, domestic violence at the center of a lot of families. And little to no green spaces, parks, and streams in sight. Southwest Philly appeared to be detached from the rest of Philadelphia, forgotten and left behind, an afterthought. So first, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought to myself, what have you gotten yourself into, Diana? That went on for days, maybe even weeks, and then I thought about my grandparents, civil rights activists, George and Mary Sawyer. And I thought about who they were and who I had become. I started to spend time with a lot of the young people on my block, which led more kids from other blocks to come to our block, taking them to parks, recreation centers, festivals, plays, college games, and zoos, talking to them about who they were and where they came from. Having reading and drumming circles on my porch, playing football and basketball and riding bikes with them throughout the city. Teaching them to have compassion for animals, the importance of loving oneself and one another, asking them questions to make them think, are you your brother's keeper? And having discussions about self-love. So now to Miss Verna's garden. Now when I moved to Southwest Philly, specifically on South Paxson Street, there was a 97-year-old woman who had raised her children, her grandchildren, and pretty much everyone else on the block. And everyone listened to her because everyone belonged to her, and they knew it. Because she came from a time when it took a village to raise a child. And she believed that, and she walked that way. That ordered her steps. You either referred to her as Miss Williams, Miss Verna, or Mama. She embraced me as I was her own, especially when she found out I was from down south, and she was from down south as well. I often sat with her and she talked about the olden days and living down south on the farm and raising her children. She spoke about the trash and the vacant lots on the block and how she was tired of it, and she wanted some change. She wanted something to be done, a space where people could feel, a space where people could heal. A space where people could come together, plant, grow, and harvest their own foods. A place reminiscent of down south, where she grew up. So after Miss Verna unfortunately transitioned a few years ago, with the help of the kids on the block, these aren't the only two, it's about 10 to 12 other ones, I called them my junior block captains. And many organizations such as the Hinge Collection and Clean Water Action and Bartram's Garden and the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, Heinz Wildlife Refuge, and Black Farmers Co-op, and the Neighborhood Garden Trust, Miss Verna's Garden became a reality. Over the past years, the community has come together to plant, harvest collard greens, kale, Swiss chard, peppers, watermelon, cantaloupe, and even more. We have a mini library and a swing and a bench. It's even become a safe haven for our little kitties that live on the block. I'm a cat lady. I take care of all of them. The youth are now making the connection between earth and the foods that they consume in their bodies. They're understanding the importance of health. They're learning to question the foods they eat. They're building themselves, their families, and their communities from the inside out. They're empowered. We are empowered. I'm honored to receive the 2024 Citizens Block Captain Award. I not only accept this for just me, because it's not about me, I accept this on behalf of all the others in this fight for justice and equity in Philadelphia. People like 51st Ward Leader Greg Benjamin and Mount Calvary's Pastor Sharon that couldn't be here with us, and Empower CDC's Miss Vicki Chambliss. I'd like to especially thank the Southwest leaders, starting with our 3rd district and my city councilwoman, Jamie Gauthier. I know we didn't get off, I know we started on we had a rocky start. We definitely had a rocky start. But know that you have my utmost respect, my support, my loyalty, and my partnership. I promise you that. I respect you as a Black woman, a community leader and advocate, and my city councilwoman. Thank you for all that you've done for Southwest Philly. To you, Dr. Simmons, my mentor, the founder and executive director of Black Farmers Co-op, I have learned so much from you about humility and leadership. So I want to thank you. I love you. And thank you for seeing and understanding my passion when others did not. Thank you to Ms. Karen James, Assistant Vice President of Citizens Bank and Community Liaison at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. Your contribution to the work that I've done and the way you've uplifted the work in Miss Verna's Garden and the Southwest community. And for that, I will eternally be grateful. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And last but not least, I want to thank my junior block captains. These young people, we have to pour into them so that they can then pour into our communities. And again, this isn't all of them. It's about 12 of them. We're an army. Over the years, I've witnessed the growth of you all, both of you all. And I'm looking forward to continue building up South Paxton Street and beyond. Thank you all.
Please welcome to the stage Charisse Lilly, CEO of CRL Consulting.
Good evening. It's such an honor for me to be here tonight to introduce my friend Marsha Levick, the 2025 A. Leon Higginbotham Social Justice Champion honoree this evening, and to say a few words about my mentor and former boss, Judge A. Leon Higginbotham, Jr. Judge Higginbotham was a jurist, author, civil rights activist, legal scholar, and champion of the civil rights of the oppressed in the United States and abroad, particularly in South Africa. And I served on the committee which Larry and the Philadelphia Citizen created to honor Judge Higginbotham with the mural located at 46 and Chestnut Streets, and I urge you all to go by and take a look at it. The judge was a trailblazing federal judge in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania and on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And after having practiced law and served in various local, state, and federal positions, he was also a renowned legal scholar. And I was privileged to work as one of his interns when he was drafting his first book in the matter of color. He was a lifelong mentor and role model to me and to his law clerks and former students that he taught, and he inspired us all through the years. Judge Higginbotham experienced racism and prejudice throughout his life and his career in the law. But his belief in the promises of the US Constitution and its amendments never wavered. Marsha Levick, who we honor tonight, is a visionary advocate for the civil and human rights of children. She co-founded with 3 of her classmates from Temple Law School, the Juvenile Law Center. When JLC was founded in 1975 here in Philadelphia, it was literally the first nonprofit public interest law firm focused on the legal rights of children in the United States. And like Judge Higginbotham, Marsha and her fellow visionaries wanted to focus on civil rights, but with a particular focus on children. They wanted to reduce the harm of the child welfare and justice systems and to protect the rights and dignity of children, and ultimately to create opportunities for these young people to be educated and reach their full potential as productive citizens. And like Judge Higginbotham, Marsha did not just choose the path of litigation, and in the judge's case, service as a federal judge. The Juvenile Law Center has always approached these issues with legal advocacy plus policy advocacy youth-led advocacy, which you just got to observe, and strategic communications. And like Judge Higginbotham's collaborative work with his research assistants, his students at the law schools where he taught and lectured, JLC has literally created an entire national ecosystem of lawyers that they have trained, mentored, and for whom they have served as role models, who are continuing the work in the public and the private sectors. My allotted time does not allow me to begin to even scratch the surface of why it is so important that the public citizen continues to make sure that the history books do not erase the massive legacy of the accomplishments of Judge Higginbotham. Please do not forget all that he did and all that he accomplished in the pursuit of liberty and justice for all. And the same is also true about Marsha Levick. Please, please go online and read about Marsha's heroic efforts in the Kids for Cash case. Read about the Youth and Sentencing and Reentry Project. Read about the litigation along with the Education Law Center in the Glen Mills Schools case. And read about the Youth Study Center case against the city of Philadelphia. The list goes on. I could go on and on and on. Tonight, the Philadelphia Citizen is honoring two of Philadelphia's finest citizens. We owe them both a debt of gratitude and honor. And if you do the math, the Juvenile Law Center is celebrating its 50th year of service to the children of Pennsylvania and the entire country in 2025. They are still not done. Study, please study the lives and legacies of Marsha Levick and Judge Leon Higginbotham. With their brilliance, creativity, respect for the human and civil rights of all Americans, and resilience, they have both made change happen. They have both made history. We must never, ever forget. Thank you. And Marsha?
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, Charisse. Thank you, Philadelphia Citizen. Congratulations to all of the other awardees this evening. I'm very honored to be in your presence. I am incredibly humbled to receive an award in the name of Judge Higginbotham. You've said everything that I could say about him. Charisse, he is a hero. He was a mentor. He was a social justice champion every day of his life. And so just to have his name connected to mine is pretty extraordinary. So when I was thinking about what I should say this evening, I was trying to decide whether to quote Martin Luther King or Jane Fonda. But I've decided to quote both. So Martin Luther King very famously said, and this is a quote that I think many of you are familiar with, "We have to face that tomorrow is today. We must confront the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. This is not a time for complacency or apathy. This is a time for vigorous and positive action." 2 nights ago, Jane Fonda accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award at the SAG Awards. She was at a very different audience than Martin Luther King was speaking to when he uttered those very, very memorable and inspirational words. To say something very similar in the context of that room, she talked about documentary films. And what she said is that we are in a documentary film now. This is not a dress rehearsal. It is happening today. And what I take from both of these messages is truly the fierce urgency of now. I have been doing this work for 50 years. I'm not done yet. That is true. I'm not done yet. And as someone who has dedicated her life to social justice, with many of my colleagues who are here this evening, who I want to just acknowledge you all, and my husband who was here with me, who have supported me in this work. These are dark times. Whatever side you're on, these are dark times. They're unprecedented times. We don't know where they're going, and we don't know what the end game is. But the work that we do is critical. In a media space, I say to the journalists in the room, you must not be silenced. To my social justice warriors in the room, I say we must not be stilled. I accept this award on behalf of all of the social justice champions here in Philadelphia, across the country, around the world. As we say at Juvenile Law Center every day, onward. Thank you.
Please give a warm round of applause to our next presenter, Dr. Heidi Ramirez.
Good evening. Buenas noches. I'm not a Baptist, but come on. Over 25 years in formal roles as a school board member, thank you, Governor Rendell, district leader, researcher, and consultant, as well as in formal roles as a community member, volunteer, and my favorite, as auntie. I've observed a lot of pre-K-12 classrooms, not including my own experiences as a student or teacher in training. And across all those years and experiences, I've seen a lot of what people have called model, perfect, high-performing, and best classrooms and teachers. And yet, too often, when I leave those classrooms with expert educators and everyone agrees this is an effective teacher, no one can name the learning objective or is even sure it was grade-level work we were observing. That is, too often we celebrate educators based on some perception of order, engagement, or performance on a single metric. The example of tonight's Educator of the Year honoree begs us to think about effective instruction in a much more robust way. Over the years, in lots of different studies, one finding continues to be true and increasingly significant. The greatest in-school factor in student achievement is the quality of teaching. This fact, the power of the teacher, does not mean that Philadelphia can immediately close its long persistent performance gaps or outpace others simply by hiring great teachers, but we cannot do it without them. Yes, school resources and school leaders matter, mostly in fostering conditions for success, including school safety, meaningful teacher feedback and support, adequate supplies and technology, engaged family and community members, etc. But quality teaching, which research also shows is influenced by quality materials, is essential. And as we learned by reading about tonight's honoree, Science Leadership Academy's Ms. Njemele Tamala Anderson, this can be exciting. National frameworks for effective teaching, my own consciousness, science of best materials all tell us good teaching is rigorous and standards-based. It's not dialed down as some supposed favor for Black, Latina, or students with disabilities. It is coherent. It's deliberately organized in ways that sequence over time, build depth, and leverage an expanding deep knowledge that is both durable and transferable. It is evidence-based, based on research that actually shows outcomes for children. It is usable. Materials are accessible, clear, engaging, and relevant for every child. And dear God, it is equity-centered. Materials and instruction help students develop the knowledge, skills, and dispositions they need to be successful in an increasingly complex and diverse world. It includes not just high expectations and ambitions, but also practices that leverage I heard someone say it earlier, the D word, diversity, meaning they are culturally responsive and sustaining. They honor and affirm every student's multiple and intersecting identities. They are linguistically sustaining. They respect and expand students' linguistic repertoires, not just their native languages, but also regional and cultural vernaculars and dialects. And they encourage students to become agents of change. Most of all, quality teaching is joyful. It uplifts the spirit, inspires curiosity, brings care, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. These criteria are neither new or groundbreaking. They stem from a world we call resistance education, abolitionist teaching, liberation theory, fugitive pedagogy, and even sometimes ratchetdemics. I know who's reading. They are the principles behind the secret study among Jews throughout history, and especially leading up to and through the Holocaust. They are found in the seemingly ad hoc communal learning in Japanese internment camps, the missions of migrant schools across the Southwest, and the cause for the Northeast early bilingual ed and 1970s and 80s Nuyorican education movement. It's in indigenous talking circles and community teachings, even in the face of extermination, removal, and assimilation. It's in Appalachian schoolhouses, and most notably across the entire continuum of Black history in this country. You can do that. They're found in the, see, I'm not really a Baptist, I don't have the timing right. They're found in the clandestine literacy learning of America's enslaved, the freedmen schools and the birth of HBCUs in the Reconstruction era, segregated Black-led schools of post-Reconstruction and imagined by Carter Woodson, Booker T, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Anna Julia Hooper, as well as the freedom schools in the Civil Rights era. Most importantly, they're found in the classroom of Miss Anderson. She centers her instruction on her students, their home, culture, community assets, and deliberately fosters students' sense of safety, identity, and belonging and self-efficacy, and helps all students, not just some essentialized subset of students such as Latina, Black, linguistic minority, or LGBTQ, to successfully navigate, thrive, and alter the world they live in. Good teachers and great schools exemplify these principles in ways that build, not divide, our communities. Yes, and Njemele Tamala Anderson teaches students of color who, as she described, look like her. They hear Bill Withers and read Bettina Love. They study poetry and social justice. They work together and share responsibility for learning. But this isn't magic. This is high-quality curriculum and instruction in action, and part of a long and powerful tradition, and it neither begins nor can end with Miss Anderson. I am grateful to know there are teachers like her who are both faithful to our traditions and steadfast in pursuit of educational excellence and a different kind of collective future. I am privileged to honor one who, in the content of what she teaches, how she teaches it, and who she teaches, represents the science, the art, and the joy of teaching and learning, and by God, the promise and possibility for all of our children. Please join me in celebrating this year's Philadelphia Citizen Educator of the Year, Ms. Njemele Tamala Anderson.
They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls. Their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow that you may not visit, not even in your dreams.
Well, the people who came before me, right? They were all so well poised. No one shed a tear. But baby, here it comes. Those are my children's over there. First, I want to thank the Philadelphia Citizen for this fantastic honor. I was completely shocked when I got the call from Jessica that I was the recipient of Educator of the Year. Bless you. All of the things that were said before I came up here, all of those things are true in what I do with my babies that I get every year in my classroom. And when I look at my children in my classroom, I see their destiny. I don't see where they are right now. I see their destiny. And because I see their destiny, I'm aware, more than aware, that our destinies are linked. And if I don't give my students the best that I have while I have them, then I'm doing a disservice, not just to them, but to myself and to my line. Because when my children leave my space and go into whatever vocation it is that they want to do with their lives, they are going to come in contact with someone from my line. And I want that when they come in contact with somebody from my line, my children, my nieces, my grands, if I ever get some, hint, hint. When they come in contact with someone from my line, I want them, whether they are pumping gas or preparing for surgery, I want them to have a piece of me jump up inside of them. Because I've given them the best that I've had while I had them for 10 months. So when I prepare work for my babies, I'm preparing work that's going to help them to critically engage with the world in which they live in, because they're the inheritors of that world. So they come into my room and I'm loving on them. Now, it might not feel like love to them when they're writing these 5-page papers in the 9th grade and they're reading Du Bois and Baldwin and Bettina Love and debating and doing a critical analysis of the education in America. It might not feel like love, but it's love. When the children know that you love them, not superficial love, when they know that you love them, that you see their humanity, when you touch their humanness, and you see a human and not just a student in the chair, they will run through a wall to please you. But if you are an educator and you have not had that type of experience with a young person, then you need to check what you're doing. Seriously. You need to check what you're doing. There is no greater vocation than being a teacher. None. Because every profession that is a profession, you had to have a teacher. Somebody taught you how to do the thing that you're doing, the thing that you're making money with. Somebody taught you how to do that. But the teaching profession is the most disrespected profession that is. There should never be a debate about how much teachers should get paid. Never. because our job is not 8:15 to 3:25. That's my schedule. I'm answering emails laying in the bed with my big shoulders at 9 o'clock last night from a parent. My children are texting me. They're sending me messages. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't get overtime. We're salaried employees. Whatever the contract says we get paid, that's it. But I don't turn off my communication with my students or their families because we're linked. But there should never be a debate about how much teachers should get paid. And while I love my Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not in love with the Sixers right now, but while I love my Philadelphia Eagles and all of the millions they get paid to do the job that they love to do, those contracts should look like teachers' contracts. But the profession is the most disrespected profession that is. Anytime that you think that you can just put a warm body in a room, let them work on getting their license, but they're in front of your child, would you go to a doctor that did not have their license? Would you let the dentist work in your mouth and they have not passed to get their licensure? But they will put a child in a class, they will put a teacher in a classroom that has not been licensed, that's working, trying to get it. But this is the destiny that they're teaching. We have to do better. We have to do better. But while we're trying to do better, those who are in those classrooms, those who have influence in those classrooms, those who have influence with the finances, our destinies are linked to those children that are sitting in that chair. And if you don't believe that, and you are a teacher in that classroom, then you need to quit. Because those children, as the song that was playing by Sweet Honey in the Rock, are not our children. They are the sons and the daughters of life. And we have to respect and honor them in their humanity, and we have to love them through all the lumps. I want to thank my family. I want to thank the educators that have poured into me. I'm wearing my great-grandmother's gloves, Thelma Scott. I have my granny Evelyn Solomon on my arm. And my mama is standing back there taking pictures and probably crying in her napkin. But these are the women who poured into me to make me who I am today. And the teacher that I am today comes from them. It comes from Philadelphia Freedom Schools. It comes from Imhotep Institute Charter High School with Mama Christine Wiggins. Shimhotep, baby girl. They are who have made who you see today. I thank you, the Philadelphia citizens. I thank all of you.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Ayla Stanford, the founder of the Center for Health Equity.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. As you heard, my name is Dr. Ayla Stanford. I am pleased to present this award to our disruptors, but let me put a positive spin on that. About 5 years ago, when you know what happened in our city, as a pediatric surgeon, I ultimately saved more lives in a parking lot than I ever did in an operating room. And that's what being a disruptor looks like, about being creative and innovative in a time and space in which we had never seen before. And as you've heard repeatedly, that's where we are now. And so my pledge to you is stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because we are going to have to protect our least, the lost, the most vulnerable through some of these times. And we're going to have to be innovative and creative again so that we don't have to lose a life unnecessarily. And that is my charge to those in this room. And I just wanted to publicly thank everyone who donated, who gave, who called, who had a word of encouragement, because we saved lives with the Black Doctors Consortium in the city of Philadelphia, and we took care of everyone during that time. So thank you for that. Tonight, we recognize two pioneers, Dr. Alexis Thompson and Dr. Steve Grupp, whose work has changed the future of children living with sickle cell disease. For those of you who have never witnessed a sickle cell crisis, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a child in pain so unbearable that it hurts to breathe. It hurts to smile. Pain that seeps into their bones, making it impossible to stand, to walk, to simply be a child. Shortness of breath, nausea, inability to participate in sports, exhaustion, all because blood cells, instead of flowing freely, are trapping oxygen away from their body, causing unimaginable suffering. For years, treatment meant managing symptoms with blood transfusions, hydration, pain medicine, or for the fortunate few that found a match, a bone marrow transplant. But Dr. Thompson and Dr. Grupp believed these children deserved more than just survival. They asked why, and more importantly, they asked what else could be done. Because of their vision, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia became the first children's hospital in the country to treat a sickle cell patient with gene therapy outside of a clinical trial. And this is personal for me. I had two younger cousins who lived with sickle cell disease, who knew this pain too well, and they are no longer with us. So from my own family, from all of humanity, where children now have the chance to live without this burden, I thank you. I thank you for your brilliance, your commitment, and your refusal to accept that suffering should ever be the norm. And beyond the medicine itself, working to ensure that cost is not a barrier to access. For making sure that every child who needs this treatment has a chance at a future. And it is my honor to introduce this year's Disruptors of the Year, Dr. Alexis Thompson and Dr. Steve Grupp.
Well, that was some introduction. And my introduction to sickle cell really began when I initially did my training here at CHOP. And at that time, we had so little to offer families. We were able to do newborn screening to tell a family that they had a problem. We gave them as much hope as we could, and it's just been such an amazing journey to get to the point where we are now, to finally see that their genes are medicine. So these are individuals who may not have a sibling donor who can be a match, who are surviving but not necessarily thriving with the treatments that we had to offer. But we're able to have the patient being their own donor and for their genes to actually correct their disease. And it's been an extraordinary journey with working with scientists who for decades have labored to perfect that and to be in an environment where we had the courage and the partnership with families who are willing to be part of clinical trials and an institution that was willing to support us in their early years, to the point now that we have 2 FDA-approved medications that are gene therapy for sickle cell. And I'm not sure that we're done yet. I think that we're so thrilled that we've gotten to where we are. We continue to explore ways to even refine that. I think that for me, in addition to looking at what we're able to do for Philadelphia's children to assure them, hopefully, of survival, is a reminder that this is a global disease and that today, 50 to 90% of children with sickle cell disease in sub-Saharan Africa, where 75% of children with sickle cell exist in the world, will not see their 5th birthday. We still have work to do. We're hoping that at some point gene therapy or some variation of gene therapy will reach them as well. And then until they do, certainly we will not stop. I'd like to thank you for this recognition as a Disruptor of the Year. I'm gonna actually let my colleague and friend, Dr. Grupp, say some comments. Thank you.
I also appreciate the recognition for the opportunity that we've done to be able to take care of patients at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia in this incredibly rough disease, sickle cell disease, and I hope you're all familiar with how terrible this is for these patients. It's interesting to note from a historical perspective that we've known what was wrong genetically with sickle cell patients for 75 years, and it hasn't made a darn bit of difference. But now our genetic understanding has really led for the potential for actually curing these patients. Now, it's interesting to think of ourselves as disruptors of the year. I don't know how disruptive we actually feel. For many years, disruption was really a bad thing. People live close to the edge, and disruption could only mean risk. In the last few years, disruption seems like a better thing. It's gotten a good name, which is why that's what they're calling this award, and we appreciate that. We're trying to change things. We're trying to disrupt the status quo. In the last few weeks, disruption doesn't seem as attractive to me personally, but that just may be my point of view. And we all share different points of view in this. So I have 3 quick comments to make, in addition to thanking you folks for the opportunity to recognize our team at CHOP, Alexis and myself, and the many other people who work in the area of gene therapy across many diseases. I do want to thank specifically my wife of 40, my companion of 42 years and my wife of 38 years, who has tolerated me all of this time. So that thank you is incredibly important to me. And hey, Sherry over there. So my 3 quick comments. 1, Alexis is a hematologist. She's a blood doctor. I'm an oncologist. I'm a cancer doctor. What am I doing up here? Well, one of the things that we have done is we have learned how to treat cancer with these genetic medicines. And we were able to do that in the cancer because these are patients who are facing death, and where we can take the kind of risks that was necessary to take to understand how to do this and see incredible success rates, especially in blood cancers across the age spectrum, but of course of most interest to me is children and young adults. But we learned these particular approaches that we were able now to approach to non-cancer diseases, and sickle cell is such an incredibly important disease in that regard. What we're seeing now is 90% complete response rates, which is in our business, pain-free for long periods of time and out of the hospital 90% of the time. And that, in our opinion, is what cure looks like. We never want to overpromise, but that seems amazing to me. And the other thing that is amazing to me is, of course, we recognize that patients with sickle cell disease are a historically underserved medical population. The system has never treated them right. And now we have the most cutting-edge approach. And can we actually get this rolled out to as many patients as possible, do this at scale, do this in some affordable fashion? And by the way, I want to specifically and briefly call out Medicaid in the state of Pennsylvania, who is really trying to work with us and other hospitals to try to get access for the kids in Philadelphia to this curative therapy. And I think that that's incredibly important because these policies within the insurance companies are incredibly important. People don't want to hear this, but you can't deliver the care without figuring out the economics of actually treating the patients. And then finally, unfortunately at my table, you know these little cards we have? It says the first responsibility of every citizen is to question authority. So there I am with that. And so the final thing I'll say is there are many things going on in the world right now, and you might feel many different ways about them. But what I see as a physician and a researcher is a profound concern about our biomedical research enterprise. And you say, well, that's one just part of what we're seeing right now. It's what I see. People talk about the National Institutes of Health as the driver of research across this country, and this is something that has been incredibly powerful in these new treatments, both in cancer and in non-cancer, for so many years, and we're seeing that pulled away from us. We're seeing incredible decreases with no warning whatsoever in our funding base. Become aware of what's happening. Have an idea of what's happening, have an opinion on what's happening, express that opinion to the people who need to hear it. Let's wake up to a certain extent from our inability to appreciate all the things that are happening right now and pick the thing that you think is either great or not so great and let somebody know about it. Thank you very much.
Now we invite everyone in the room to please turn your attention to the screens in front for a special video.
In 1991, Philadelphia was seen as unmanageable. Crime was rampant, City Hall was essentially bankrupt, Center City a ghost town after 5 p.m. It took a leader, a New York native no less, to inspire the birthplace of American democracy to dream again. Over decades of public service, district attorney, mayor, governor, and in his work promoting civic education as a private citizen, Ed Rendell has cajoled citizens into believing that our best days still lay ahead. A leader can't take a no for an answer, he says, especially from his own government. How did he model fighting for change? There was his passion. Whether cheering at Eagles games or arguing for gun control, Rendell is all heart.
Here's what you said. You have to decide whether you're on their side, the men and women who wear blue, or whether you're on the side of the gun lobby. And some people think that isn't fair, it wasn't the right place to do it, but it wasn't fair because there are a lot of issues that go into why someone killed a police officer. The guy who killed Lizinski, for instance, was out on parole. He had a rap sheet this small.
Excuse me, that's all BS.
It's criminal
It's all
justice.
BS. It's all BS. And let me tell you why it's BS. Every police organization in the state wants to ban these weapons. Every police organization in the state wants one gun law. Every police organization in the state wants a bill that says we have to pay a report of loss of stolen gun. So don't go out there and say how upset you are about the loss of policemen and then disrespect their view. They're on the front line. We should listen to them. Don't go out there and be a phony. You know, if you're not going to listen to policemen, if you're going to listen to the gun lobby, then don't go to these memorial services.
He takes himself too seriously. One secret to Rendell's appeal, even his appetites became a calling card that people could relate to.
Other cities try to replicate the cheesesteak, and they never actually get it right. And there's 3 reasons that they don't get it right. First of all, they use good meat. You can't do stuff like that because it's important to get the fat to blend the taste of the cheesesteak. A second mistake they make is they use real cheese. Good cheese can't melt. Get it in the nooks and crannies of this straight cracky meat. You need cheese whiz. And the third thing they use, most people like fried onions with their cheesesteak. And other cities, when you order fried onions, they take them off the grill, and then they drain the grease off them before they put it on their own. We need the grease from the grill to give you the perfect taste sensation. So, fatty springy meat, artificial cheese, fried onions with grease, that gives you the best taste you've ever had.
And most of all, the reason Ed Rendell belongs on the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia's 20th century, and the reason we honor him as the namesake of the Citizen Lifetime Achievement Award, is his tireless, decades-long commitment to the proposition that every voice forcibly valid has the potential to change a city, a state, a nation, and the world.
If you ask me to, in my public career, to think of one thing where citizen action really made change, where it really made a difference, you know, citizens are always saying to me, I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to get involved because it doesn't matter. We can't change things. But citizen action forced the government to take a good, hard look and forced the government to act. And we are here today with all the progress and all the wonderful things that Jane just delineated. We are here today because citizens said we were going to change it. And if somebody ever tells you that citizen action doesn't work, it's all just whistling past the graveyard while it's sticking into the wind, it isn't. And the success we've had here should be proven. Well, forgive me for not standing. I would if I could. But at least I'm here. And every time I think of taking it easy and enjoying the time that I've left, I think about the fact that I don't have much time left. And I still have messages that I want to get across. And I'm going to speak for more than 2 minutes. I would feel bad about that, except no other speaker has made the 2 minutes. So all of you previous speakers, I thank you. But I want to tell us what we're not doing enough of. And it's sad to do that because I agree with all of the whatever laudatory things that have been said today about our winners, about this great organization, about Larry, who does such a magnificent job and has in so many different capacities. But we're not doing enough. We will leave here tonight and we will talk to someone tomorrow and say, well, I was at this dinner last night and you should have seen the good people who got awards. They're doing great things. Well, that's all true. And yet, America is closer to dissolving all of the things that we stood for, all the things that we wrote, that we believed in, all the things and the progress we made. We are at the brink of losing all of that. And the question is, what can we do? You know, there's a tendency to do it. And I remember I told somebody, they said, how can you get along as mayor when you see all the problems and there's so many of them? I remember I would tell people, you do the best you can. And all of us believe that to some extent. We do the best we can. We've done things to try to make this place better. We've given of our time. We've even helped out as go speak to young people. We do a lot of good things. But it's not the best we can. And it better not be because we're losing this battle. We're losing this battle and we are at the brink of getting it shoveled so much on our heads that we won't be able to recover. And I think that the problem is there's no quick solution. The problem is we all have to dig in and give the message that we're working on it and that we're serious about making systemic change and that we're not satisfied with what we've done. We're not going to pat ourselves on the back and talk about
and have dinners where we talk about all the great things we've done. Let's have a dinner one night, and this has been a lovely dinner, but let's have a dinner one night, and all the same people come, and have people talk about the things we haven't done. And then we could still do. We could still do. Well, let me take a little detour to thank you for naming this award after me. I have been hesitant to allow organizations to name anything after me because I don't think politicians should have things named after themselves while they're still living. And I want to have nothing named after me for a long while. But let me say that I've seen Brendan Byrne, who was a very good governor of New Jersey, had the guts to tell people the truth, had the guts to try to raise taxes to a level that would have made the New Jersey education system better than it is today, and it's pretty good today. And then they took Brendan Byrne's name off the stadium, and the basketball stadium that they built in North Jersey. Brendan Byrne was still alive. He had to see them scrub his name up. So I decided I didn't want anything named after me. But I relented, as you can tell, a little bit. And the first thing I relented on was when my neighbors in East Falls, and East Falls, Michael heard this about 20 times. My neighbors in East Falls, and you can tell that East Falls is a special place by the people who come from it. My neighbors in East Falls wanted to name something after me, they said, because you're the first mayor that East Falls has ever had. You know, knowing most of the people who call themselves Fallsers, it's not surprising that I was the first mayor that they ever had. But in any event, they were so earnest about it, I said, all right, I'll be happy to have you name a building after me. They said, no, we don't want to name a building after you. We want to name a tree after you. I was stunned. What could I say? I said, well, that's very nice. And they said, we're going to have a plaque. We're going to put it on the tree. So I went to the unveiling of the plaque. The people lined up to see what it said. I didn't have time. I left. And about 2 Saturdays later, I decided to take my dogs up to this part of the park and see what it said. This was about 10 o'clock, and it was a nice 70-degree day. And we got out of the car. We parked about a block away. And I started walking towards the tree. And I noticed, all of a sudden, a line of about 18 dogs lined up where my plaque was. And I couldn't believe it. When I got there, the dogs were lining up to piss on my plaque. Well, the plaque, apparently one dog had pissed on it. And you know what happens when one dog pisses on something? All dogs piss on it. So I debated telling the people who named the plaque after me and put it up about this. But I said, I think you should raise the plaque about 1.5 feet. And they did that, so it's nice. So back to the point. You know, I was very touched by what Mrs. Coleman said. I was very touched by almost all of the stories of what our award winners have done, have been moving. And they're great people, and we want to continue to encourage them. And I decided that when I left as governor, I would devote my time, and Midge agreed with me, we would devote our time to one thing, and that's citizenship and civics. But we wanted to devote it to 4th and 5th graders, because anybody give a speech to high school kids about civics? Has anybody had, raise your hand if you had that occasion? Right. How were they? Were they paying rapt attention? You can't give a speech like that to 9th, 10th graders. You've got to get them when they're still young, when they're still interested. We have something that we call Rendell Center for Civics. Midge and I started it. We have something we call the Citizens Challenge. We put out information to all the schools in the state about a challenge we have of them sending a 4th and 5th grade team to do essays about constitutional issues. Like, for example, should the Constitution be changed to allow citizens who weren't born in the United States to run for president? That provision was put in at a time that has no relevance anymore. And I think people born in other countries who become citizens of the United States should have the right to run for president. They can run for everything else. So I think it should be changed. But we asked for arguments on both sides of the line. And the kids were so on fire. They were on fire writing their papers. Then we picked the 10 best out of 400, 500 applications we get. And we bring them in to the Constitution Center to make a 15-minute presentation. And the judge and I and some visitors that we choose will ask them questions. And the kids are on fire. They're so excited. You would think they were going to see a rock and roll show. You'd think they were going to see a football game. They were so excited. And the kids who participated were sky high. And they did amazing things. Some people, when I tell them 4th and 5th graders, they said, oh, 4th and 5th graders couldn't understand something like that. Bullshit. 4th and 5th graders can understand almost anything that you challenge them to do. They will respond to challenges. And they will respond to challenges and do wonderful things. For example, on that issue, the school that won first place had a great presentation and a great written presentation. They answered the questions well. And we let them use little props. They could do songs. And this group sang for us, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. That was their closing appeal. Born in the USA, because that means you can't change the Constitution. And it was so amazing and so inspiring. Well, I've got the idea from this that what we need to do is take this seriously. The Rendell Center for Civics and Civics Education raises $300,000 a year to put on 6 different programs. We as a community, the city of Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, we should be spending tens and tens of millions of dollars to ingrain citizenship in our kids almost from the beginning. Almost from the beginning. And kids will learn it. They will accept it. They will love it. They will experience it. They will want to be a state representative. They will want to be a city council person. Kids understand. They're so much smarter than we give them credit for. You know what kids can figure out pretty fast? And I talked to Dr. Watling about this. Kids can tell whether we think education is really important or we're just bullshitting them. And you know how they can tell? By the shape of the building we give them to go to school in. By the look of the books that we give them to learn from the state of the recreation areas we give them. They can know right away. They don't care about me getting an education. They know that we're not going to get a good education, we're not going to succeed. They don't care about us. The most important thing we can do is imbue those kids with the belief that we do care about them. And how do we do that? By giving every school in the state, make every school in the state look great. Every school in the state have the same equipment, the same teaching aids, the same computers at the same time period, to make that part of what we do as a state, to raise teachers' salaries. It's no surprise that the top 2 countries in in the world in student achievement are Finland and Denmark, because they pay an incredibly high percentage of the average salary on education. They pay teachers. Teachers are among the best paid people in their societies. We can do that. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. And I think we've got to turn our attention to this and make it something that we really do in scale. The programs tonight you've heard about are all great. They're all succeeding. They're all making a difference. But they're not in the right scale. Our last honoree, the teacher, spoke about scale. And he's right. We've got to do these things that work everywhere, not just in some schools, not just for 2 weeks, everywhere, every day. We have to invest in making our kids not only be smart and learn things, but giving them the ideas that it can make a difference. And the best thing in life is changing other people's lives. And you can do that, the things you learn and do. So all I want to say is thanks for recognizing me with this award. It's very nice. It's very nice. But I think everyone here should dedicate themselves to teaching civics as a volunteer. The Rendell Center uses about 200 volunteers a year. Teach fourth graders. You'll be inspired. Thank you.
Please turn your attention for our next presenter, Karen Doherty Buchholz, Executive Vice President of Administration for the Comcast Corporation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of my colleagues at Comcast NBC Universal, including our chairman and CEO, Brian Roberts, it is a privilege to be here with you tonight as we recognize our next honoree, Judy von Seldeneck. Cheering squad. Judy is the founder and chair of Diversified Search Group, headquartered right here in Philadelphia. I have long marveled at Judy's story. An early career shaped by navigating the prickly, unforgiving world of DC politics, to building one of the most prestigious executive search firms around the globe, and finding herself as one of the few women at the very top of corporate leadership ranks. She identified a gender gap in the business world, and rather than being deterred or discouraged, she capitalized on the market, took action, and built one of the most reputable firms in the country. And in turn, Judy reshaped what opportunity looks like for women. Just 6 weeks ago, Judy published her new book, Deliberately Different, co-authored with Diversified Search current CEO, Aileen Alexander. Judy notes that in order to be inspiring and effective, a leader must have a balance of rebellion and diplomacy. For those of you who know Judy well, I can't think of a better way to describe her. Judy goes on to describe her former boss and mentor, the late former Vice President Walter Mondale, as a genius at influencing and persuasion, noting that he always tried to follow up with ideas around how to take action on whatever was bugging them. You don't need to spend more than a few minutes with Judy to see how she has taken those lessons from her late mentor to heart and made them her own while blazing trails here in Philadelphia. It is her style that makes her so compelling as a leader. Often the smartest person in the room, she doesn't force her ideas or decisions on others. Rather, Judy engages those around her with wit, charm, and an incredible sense of humor to rally others around a common goal and brings out the best in people to accomplish the mission. Judy, we thank you for a lifetime of bold, inspiring leadership, challenging norms, championing women and people of all backgrounds, and never being afraid to look back and extend a hand for those who followed. Like so many in the room, I have been inspired by Judy. I have benefited enormously from her friendship, her mentorship, her partnership in business. But most importantly, I have witnessed her remarkable impact on our great city of Philadelphia, an impact that is underscored by Judy not wanting to be at the top alone, but by her incredible and effective work to provide opportunities and exposure for greater numbers of exceptional women leaders to join her ranks. Judy, you are deliberately different, and it is to the benefit of our city and to all who have the privilege of knowing, working with, and learning from you. Please join me in congratulating Judy, honored tonight with the Philadelphia Citizens Edward G. Rendell Lifetime Achievement Award. Come on up, Judy.
Oh my goodness. I'm old too, and I've got to talk now after 3 drinks and all of these amazing people that you've heard from. I mean, I'm never speechless, but I'm a little close right now. This is an awesome friend of mine, and Sharice, the Comcast women, they are awesome. So congratulations. Thank you. But the other thing is that to, receive the Edward G. Rendell Award, I can't imagine a greater honor. So nobody this community owes more to than you, Attorney General, Mayor, Governor. Thank you so much for all you do. And I would just like to say there's another great mayor here too. Michael Nutter, where are you? We have been so blessed. We have been so blessed with great governors. And we got a great governor, Josh. Wonderful to have you here too. So I'm in high cotton, as they say in the South, so I'm going to try to, handle this the right way. I really want to start out by thanking my colleagues at the Diversified Search Group right over here. Would you guys stand up and be recognized? We sort of did the old-fashioned thing, where they said, if you build it, they will come. Well, that's what we did 50 years ago. A little old group of us back in the early 70s when, women were supposed to be secretaries, nurses, and teachers. And a little group of us decided to start a company to find professional jobs for women. And that was not very popular. And we decided to give it a go here in Philadelphia. And, the city of sisterly love, I will walk through walls and fire for, because it all started here. And this was back in the 70s when it wasn't popular to do this. And the old boys were here and they controlled everything. And the last thing they wanted to see was a girl like me at the train station in St. Martin's and Chestnut Hill with a red briefcase going into town. I was supposed to be at home in the bedroom or the kitchen and taking care of the kids. And they would look at me and they would say, poor Clay, that's my husband, how did he end up with her? But in spite of all of that, I don't know if it's because I'd worked for Walter Mondale in the Senate, now he's the Vice President of the United States. They decided to give me a break and give us a break and kind of let us wander into the halls of power and even sit down at the table as long as we behaved, which some of us didn't. But I am so grateful to this community and the business community, and it's just an incredible place. And, you know, today we're one of the largest search firms in the world. And, you know, us women, we did it. And, you know, there's so much to be proud of. So, you know, I love this city. I'll do anything for this city. And you all don't realize how lucky you are to be in a city like, I'm 84 years old. And hello, I mean, I sold the company 3 times. And we've got a whole new team, you know, under Aileen and Jim Langston and Ken Leslie, whatever. So, you know, just appreciate what a wonderful city this is, and what the city of sisterly love. And, you know, we're a perfect example of it can happen. And the word needs to go forth to the rest of the country to appreciate what a special place this is, especially now that we've got the world champion leaders here. So, thank you.
Now we invite everyone in the room to once again turn your attention to the screens in front for a special video for our next honoree.
Magid, I'm wondering if this is the Larry Magid that I know. Is this the same Larry Magid who ran that incredible little small boutique nightclub called the Bijou on Lombard Street, and was the first guy to headline me, even though I'd never been on television or anything, just because you liked what I did? And you said, listen, we'll build up an audience. And then over time we did. Is that the same Larry Magid who said to me also, back in 1974, you know, someday you're going to do a one-man Broadway show and I'm going to produce it. So is that the same Larry Magid who did all these legendary concerts and with Electric Factory and then in the 2004, when I was planning on doing 700 Sundays, this one-man Broadway show out in California to get it ready and see if it could go to Broadway, and I called you and said, remember you said that to me back in 1974, would you like to produce this Broadway show? And you flew out and we looked at it together and performed it, and then you said, my man, and then we won a Tony for it. Is that the same Larry Magid who loves the city like nobody else that I know, who raises money for all kinds of different charities and whose one goal is to entertain people? If that's the same Larry Magid that I know, then you truly are an icon of Philadelphia. Congratulations, Larry.
Please welcome to the stage our next presenter, Temple University President John Fry.
Good evening, everyone. Like Ed Rendell, like Billy Crystal, Larry Magid is a legend. One of the founders of the Electric Factory, Larry's contributions to the music industry are epic. And while he is best known, and while he is well known across the globe, Larry's heart has always been right here in Philadelphia. As Larry's career took off, he never forgot where he came from. Over the years, he and his wonderful wife, Mickey, who is here this evening, have been incredibly generous in supporting both Temple University and many, many other nonprofits across the region. At Temple, the Magids established several scholarships to support deserving students from the Philadelphia region. Their support also helped fund the renovation of the Temple Performing Arts Center. Larry also helped raise more than $1 million for local schools and music organizations by auctioning off rock and roll memorabilia. Larry's generosity is only matched by his incredible humility. The scholarships he has funded at Temple do not carry his name. They carry the names of music and pop culture icons like Billy Crystal, Bruce Springsteen, Bette Midler, Miles Davis, and Steven Van Zandt. And as Larry has said many times before, it doesn't mean anything to get a Larry Magid scholarship. Now a Miles Davis scholarship, that's cool. Larry is a true Philadelphia icon. His career and his contributions have influenced the trajectory of our city, and his legacy will help shape the future of young people across this city for generations to come. It is now my honor to present Larry Magid with the Edward G. Rendell Lifetime Achievement Award, named for our great former mayor and governor who has deeply loved this city as well as people like Larry. The award is a fitting recognition, Larry, for your many, many contributions to Philadelphia. Congratulations, friend.
Well, they finally ran out of people to give awards to. I understand that my name was right under Howard Eskin's. And I'm a reach, believe me. Seriously, Ed Rendell Award, it just doesn't get any better for me than that. It's just, I love Philadelphia. I love Ed Rendell. He's been our greatest citizen in my lifetime anyway. The Lifetime Achievement Award, at the home, Ed, we call this the Old Man's Award. Sadly, I qualify. My life's been greatly enhanced by music and television. Ironically, the first television show I ever saw was the Eagles beating the Chicago Cardinals for the NFL championship in this snowy day in 1948. I was 6 years old. So for those who are trying to figure out how old I am, I'm 47. And 20 years ago, ironically, we put on a show called Live 8 on the steps of the Art Museum. And we too drew 1 million people to see this free show in Philadelphia. The Philadelphians turn out. I read when I was a kid that if you want your dreams to come true, you had to pursue them. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood of row houses and mom and pop stores in the Cobbs Creek section of West Philadelphia. My dad worked really hard, worked 2 jobs, sometimes 6, 7 days a week when he could get it. But still he found time to be a committeeman, worked in his labor union, was an officer in our synagogue, and found time to run dances for teenagers in the neighborhood. He was a great role model. I started working at 11. I loved to work, but there were distractions. It was a tough place to grow up. I saw a picture of Joe Frazier a minute ago. In my neighborhood, Joe Frazier was the Avon lady. Actually, my mom was the Avon lady, and I think she takes Joe in 5 rounds. So I'm sitting here listening to everybody, and instead of telling you how hard I worked and the 12-hour, 14-hour, 16 hours a day, there was something that happened to me in 1968 in October. of 68. It was a Friday night. We had opened up Electric Factory 6 months earlier. I was called to the door on a Friday night, and they said, "Larry, I think you need to come to the door." What's the problem? I said, "Somebody here wants to see you." I walked to the front door, and there, bigger than life, was Frank Rizzo. He said, "You own this place?" And I went, huh? And he said, "We're going to turn this place into a tire factory." Next week, Police Commissioner Rizzo showed up with the mayor, James Tate. And they looked around. And 2 weeks later, they filed a suit against us to close us up. And we were part of the counterculture. First time that kids really had a voice in politics as well as music. But we were a center. And we got an injunction, but at 10:30 every night, which was a curfew in Philadelphia at the time, 20, 30 policemen, detectives would show up, march through the crowd, carding kids, and really disrupting what we were trying to do. It was tough. It was really tough fighting. I mean, we had a club. We were charging $3 to get in. We weren't serving alcohol. We had no choice but to fight the city. And then an amazing thing happened. It was a constitutional lawyer named Stanford Schmuckler and another one, Richard Atkins, and they decided to help us, that they would represent us in court. But we fought, and it was headlines 1968, 1969. And finally, in 1970, on November 2nd, Election Day, we won our case. We stood up not only for kids and the city, but there were places all over the country where police and the cities were trying to close these establishments up. And it's just amazing that not only we were able to win, but we were able to speak up and stand up for our First Amendment rights. Again, we won. It was great. And we had city councilmen, we had neighbors, we had important people in the city to stand up for us. We were nothing. We were just $3 to get in to see Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. It changed the world, and we were right in the middle of it. But if it hadn't been for people that knew right from wrong, I wouldn't be up here getting the Ed Rendell Award. I probably, I don't know where I would be. But I bumped into Frank Rizzo 4 years later, and we were making a name for ourselves. We were doing really good. Maybe 5 or 6 years later, we were really doing good. And he called me over, and he said, in my heart, I thought I was right. And I looked at him and I said, you forgot one thing. Everybody counts. Thank you.
Now, please welcome to the stage Governor Josh Shapiro.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have the opportunity to honor and celebrate citizen activism, citizens who make an impact in our classrooms, an impact in our halls of business, in our halls of power, an impact on the field, and an impact in our communities. Tonight we have the opportunity to recognize legends like my predecessor, Governor Rendell. Tonight we have an opportunity to celebrate the impact that you feel every day in our communities. Not just those who received an award tonight, but the gentleman in the Kelly Green Eagles sweatshirt I saw in Northeast Philadelphia a month ago running to save a neighbor from a fire in his community after that plane crash. The impact I see from the folks who serve our kids free breakfast in all of our schools across Pennsylvania. The impact I see every day from the person who's willing to lend a helping hand to someone whose names never appear in a newspaper or on TV. But they do it because they know it's right. And they do it because they know it is their duty as citizens to give back. Speaking of newspapers, let's take a moment and thank this Philly reporter, Larry Platt, who believed that those newspapers, those places where people gathered to learn about their community, could be more than just a place where you learn something, but a place where you would be challenged to do something. That's Larry Platt, and that is the citizen, and that is what we are grateful for in this city. Tonight we honor great citizens, and it is my pleasure to recognize one of those great citizens here in our community, here in our Commonwealth, the Super Bowl MVP, Mr. Jalen Hurts. Now, we all watched in amazement as Jalen Hurts led on the field throughout an extraordinary season. Don't worry, Jalen, you're not going to sit much longer. I'm going to get to you in 1 second. I know it's a long night. We saw him on the field, but what you don't know is that Jalen and Bree used their celebrity in this community to do more than just deliver a Super Bowl championship for us, something that's lifted up the spirits of all Philadelphians, dare I say, a whole lot of Pennsylvanians. Not all Pennsylvanians, but a whole lot of them. And they've used that celebrity to give back. They understand that kids can't learn when they're sweating, and so they decided to install thousands of air conditioners in our Philadelphia public schools. They understand that we need to make sure more girls play sports and have everything they need, from the equipment to their sports bras that they donated, to make sure girls have everything they need to compete on the field. Jalen and Bree understand the importance of taking young athletes, young individuals in our communities, and giving them strong mentors so they continue to walk a path that is true and just, that's going to lift them up every single day. This guy is a champion on the field, but we are recognizing him here tonight, not just for the celebrity and the great athlete and the world champion that he is, but because he gives a damn about us and he recognizes his role as a citizen here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, Jalen Hurts.
Good evening.
Yeah, I don't need it that high, so let me adjust.
It's all good. There we go. First off, I want to thank God. Thank the missus for all of her support, being a source of strength for me. Thank the Philadelphia Citizen. I thank my team at the Jalen Hurst Foundation for their dedicated work. And, you know, as I sit here in this room, I see a common theme, and it's a moment to reflect for me. You know, I've received a ton of awards. God has blessed me with so much in my life, and I must say this award holds a special significance for me. Knowing that everything that we have in common in this room, everyone has a certain level of drive, a certain level of passion, a will, an energy and a passion about what they do. I think that's a quality that oozes throughout the city of Philadelphia, of tough and gritty people that don't take no for an answer. And I think the most important quality that we all share in this room is we all are in pursuit of something greater than ourselves. Trying to lift as we climb, trying to bring someone along. And, you know, just the unseen work, the unsung heroes, for God to be able to bless me with the platform that I have. And all I've wanted to truly do is just bring someone along, set the right example. That's just how I was raised. That's how I was brought up. And to see how far that can take you is something that's truly amazing and something I'm truly thankful for. But I know I wouldn't be here without a lot of individuals like yourselves in this room today throughout my development, throughout my transition to manhood. And so I thank you all. I thank you all. I encourage you guys to bring someone with you, because that's what this whole thing has been about. And it will always be about that, you know. And I've heard great sentiments, great messages of encouragement to keep going, encouragement and understanding that enough isn't enough when talking about developing those to come. And really, you know, I was sitting there listening to our Educator of the Year, and I couldn't help but think about the essence of development. You know, and with the Jalen Hurst Foundation, what I've strived to do is just serve, mentor, progress, give people opportunities that they don't even know that they have, in the ways that I can, and to continue to do so. It definitely takes a lot of responsibility, but it's a great opportunity, and it's something that I don't take lightly. And again, we're not here without the essence of those that have pushed us to be where we are today. So I just want to encourage everyone in this room to continue to push that person next to you. Continue to have that drive, continue to give great effort, and to bring someone with you. And lastly, I'll say the city of Philadelphia has been great to me. And I know I've given in my heart, my soul daily. And it means the world to have all these different avenues and be able to be recognized for something so special. So this holds a special place in my heart. And, you know, the pursuit for what we're doing in this room, everyone, as we know, more than just off the field, but more than just on the field, but off the field, that pursuit to uplift those around us and create those opportunities continues. So thank you.
Our next presenter, second to last award, we'd like to welcome to the stage Drew Katz, CEO of Interstate.
Well, see ya. Yeah, I was supposed to go on at 7. And I started my remarks by saying, how lucky am I? And actually, how lucky am I? I get to share a stage with some of the most extraordinary citizens that Philadelphia has to offer. And even though I am sharing the stage as a presenter of an award, not the winner of an award, and one day I hope to be up here as a winner of an award, I just wanted to say to my friend Larry, to Judith, to Gregory, who I'm going to say a few words about, to Declan, to Najemele, to Alexis, to Stefan, to Marcella, to Diana, you guys are just heroes, and you should be so proud of yourselves, and we are just so proud of you. Forgive me, I'm getting old and I need to put a light on here. Jalen, if you can hear me. 4 days before the Super Bowl, I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and I had an emergency appendectomy. And when I was released from the hospital on Friday night, I got home, and my 7-year-old son looked at me and he said to me, "Dad, we're still going to the Super Bowl, right?" And what I say to Jalen is, while you were a hero to him on the field, you're a hero to all of us for that extraordinary work that you do off the field. And so there I was Sunday morning, barely able to breathe, getting on an airplane with my 7-year-old son in immense pain to go experience one of the most special moments of my life, to create a memory for him and a memory for me. And to that I say to Jalen, thank you. It's a true honor to be standing here tonight to talk to you about and the Lewis Katz Corporate Citizen of the Year Award, and to talk to you a little bit about Gregory Devins. As you may know, my dad was a man who believed in the power of business, not only to succeed, but to use it to serve the community and make a difference in the lives of others. He was passionate about improving the outcomes for other people. He believed so deeply that leadership meant being present, being involved, and making sure that the success that he experienced was shared with those less fortunate. Those were his core values, and the more money he made, the more money he gave away. He lived his life by the motto of the late, great John Wooden, that you can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone else who will never be able to repay you. Greg Devins lived these values in every way.
And under his leadership, Independence Health Group has become a beacon for the health insurance industry, and he has been a pillar of change in the community. Greg's commitment to improving healthcare outcomes and expanding access to care has transformed countless lives, especially those in the underserved communities. But what stands out to me most is Greg's ability to always see the whole person, whether he is addressing disparities in healthcare, ensuring behavioral health gets the attention it deserves, or removing race-based medicine from healthcare practices. Greg leads with empathy and a sense of responsibility. He doesn't just look at a number or a statistic. He sees the person behind it. He is determined to create a system that treats everybody with the dignity and the care that they deserve. His leadership goes so far beyond the boardroom. He has an incredible capacity to lift others and bring people together for a common cause. From his role at Independence to his work at the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia, it is incredible to see Greg focusing on creating opportunities for all and ensuring no one is left behind. I am inspired by Greg's deep-rooted belief that to whom much is given, much is required. It is a message that my father lived his life by every day, and it is so clear that Greg carries this torch with pride, humility, and integrity. Greg, on behalf of my family and all of those who are privileged to witness your leadership, I want to congratulate you for receiving the Lewis Katz Corporate Citizen of the Year Award. Your dedication, compassion, and tireless effort to make this city and this world a better place embody the very essence of what this award represents. Thank you.
Good evening, Philly. I am so glad to be here with you tonight. I had a bad day of travel, so Drew, I apologize for having you go after Jalen Hurts and after two governors. It's my bad, my fault, so I apologize for that. But it really is a privilege, Drew, to accept this award commemorating your father and his incredible life, his amazing legacy as a business, media, and philanthropic leader in this community. And I'm really deeply humbled by that. To Larry Platt and the entire team at the Philadelphia Citizen, I thank you for providing civic-minded journalism to focus on solutions. And those solutions that you target are really personified by the incredible citizens that you honor this evening. I share this recognition with all my colleagues at Independence Blue Cross. Shout out to the Blue Cross table. And this incredible team and all of our other colleagues at the organization really help every day to ensure that our members and customers have access to quality health care when they need it most. Our team works tirelessly to make sure that care is more equitable, it's more accessible, and it's more affordable. I also want to dedicate this award to my awesome wife of 37, almost 38 years, Beverly Devins, and to my incredible children, because without their love and support, I would not be the person that I am today. To all of my fellow honorees, I want to say congratulations on your achievements and thank you for all that you do for this great city. Your achievements are varied, but they're all incredibly important, whether achieved in our local neighborhoods, in our classrooms, on the world stage, or even Jalen Hurts by Jalen on the football field. You helped to shine a bright light on the city of Philadelphia. And I have to give a special shout out to Judy von Seldeneck, because if it wasn't for Judy and the team at Diversified Search, I would not be here in the city of Philadelphia. They recruited me to Independence Blue Cross, so thank you, Judy. Now, some of you may not have recognized my walk-up music. It started a little bit late, but some of you I know recognize that beat. And that is an instrumental version of Fat Joe's All the Way Up. That title describes the journey of our honorees and what is in front of us right now in the city of Philadelphia. And I agree with Governor Rendell that we haven't done enough and we have to continue to do more. But I believe that we have a chance to be the city and region with the best opportunity for upward economic mobility. I think we have to work together to achieve this. And in order to do it, we have to advocate for a few things. We have to advocate for better educational opportunities for our children. We have to advocate for even greater investment in current and future talent through programs like apprenticeships and mentoring programs, et cetera. We have to advocate for modernization of our infrastructure. You heard discussion about the schools. We also need to advocate for our transportation infrastructure as well. And we also have to continue to have a focus on public safety and health. We need to make it easier as well to do business in the city of Philadelphia so that entrepreneurs like Judy can start and grow businesses, and so that we can create more jobs and we can have greater economic opportunity for all. And I believe that if we work together, we can make Philadelphia the greatest city in the country to live, work, and thrive. Thank you. Thank you, Governor. So tonight I'm asking all of you to join me in committing to moving Philadelphia all the way up. And I want to say again, thank you so much for this incredible honor, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Now, time for our last, but certainly not least presenter, Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Y'all not clapping for me because y'all like me. Y'all clapping because y'all ready to get out of here. That's okay. I'm cool with that. My name is Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. I'm the chair of the Education Committee. And I was going to start with Go Birds, but why not, right? Go Birds, right? Go Birds, absolutely. Wake you up a little bit. So I just, tonight is really unique for me, Larry. I want to thank you for extending the invitation, and to everybody at the Citizen, I appreciate being a part of today's program. I'm the chair of the Education Committee on City Council, so it feels like a complete honor to be able to introduce this next young man, to be able to talk about the great work that he's done, because for us in the city of Philadelphia, specifically on City Council, we always want to try to put ourselves in a position to encourage, support, and help inspire young people to be the change that they want to see. Larry don't know this, but tonight is really special for me, not just because I get to honor a young man in Declan Cassidy, who's a phenomenal young man. Can we give Declan a round of applause? But I actually also got to see one of my mentors get honored tonight. And while I do want to say congratulations to all of the honorees, you got an opportunity to hear from a teacher who was actually my mentor teacher. Yeah, absolutely. So when we go into budget season this year, Mayor Nutter, you'll appreciate this. One of the things that I'm going to be fighting for is the Freedom Schools program. Sister Njamile talked about that a lot in the midst of her remarks today. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because the Freedom Schools program is where I met Sister Njamile. And while she was a phenomenal mentor for me, one of the things that the program taught us was the reward for good work is more work. And when I think about this young man, Declan Cassidy, He is the epitome of the concept that the reward for good work is war work. The Citizen and Larry and his team, they did a great article on this young man, specifically highlighting how he got started with the work that he's doing as it relates to service, but most importantly, the impact it's having on the city of Philadelphia. And I had a chance to sit with Declan at dinner today, and dinner was phenomenal. Somebody tell Mr. Foreman that it was actually good. And as I was listening to Declan talk a little bit about his story and how he got started, you know, Declan and, you know, his mom and the rest of his family that's here, they were just trying to solve a problem in the city of Philadelphia. We all listened to America's mayor and our governor, Governor Rendell, talk about this idea of just fixing shit, right? Fixing shit. It matters. Like, you know, we want to put ourselves in a position where we can identify the ills of our society, but we can also say that these problems are not so complex that we can't be the change we want to see. And if you look at the history of this country, whenever you're talking about significant change, it's always great to have a Dr. Stanford and a Mayor Nutter and even my colleague, Councilmember Gaudier, and listening to the work of the great block captains. All of it is inspiring, but real change always comes from the young people. It always do, right? And when I think about Declan and what he's been able to do, not specifically just dealing with the homeless issue, but recognizing the overdose crisis, the problem it's having, and not just Kensington, but all across the city of Philadelphia. This is a young man who, because of his family, it inspired him to volunteer. And I talked about that concept of the reward for good work being more work, and his volunteer work put him in a position where he felt obligated to do more. So this is a 15-year-old young man who lives in Northeast Philadelphia, who goes to Swenson High School, one of my favorite high schools in the city of Philadelphia, by the way. And this young man has turned a volunteer experience into a nonprofit organization. And for those of us in government who do this work on a consistent basis, how inspiring is it that a 15-year-old young man can be the founder of his own nonprofit organization? Governor Rendell, I'm gonna close out with this. Someone asked me, if you don't know, 2026 is an important year for the city of Philadelphia. We could talk about that later. But someone asked me, they said, what are you looking forward to most in 2026? What do you want to see? What will be that one thing, Councilman, that make you feel like 2026 is a success? And my response was simple. There's going to be a young person who's going to meet their idol because the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is here, or the FIFA World Cup is here, or some type of experience that's going to put them in a position to be able to say, that moment is where I decided that I wanted to change the world. Sister Njamele talked about the fact that every educator, every teacher, I'm a former teacher myself, every educator should feel like your job is to change someone's life. I see Dr. Watlington in the back, our superintendent. Can we give him a round of applause real quick, please? When I go into schools with Dr. Watlington and schools like Swenson and other schools across the city of Philadelphia, and we talk about young people like Mr. Cassidy right there, our goal is to make sure that when he sees a problem, there are no barriers to put him in a position to be able to rectify that solution. This generation that's coming next, they're going to be the ones that rectify all of the ills that we were unable to do. So it's an honor for me, in the last award for the night, Larry, to bring up a phenomenal young man who we might be working for one day, right? Mr. Cassidy, come on up and get your award. Declan, congratulations, Declan. Dr. Watlington, can you come on up with Declan? I don't think he's ever met you before. This is your superintendent, Declan.
I just want to say that I'm truly honored to be named the Young Citizen of the Year. It means so much to me that I'm being recognized for all the work that I've done for Socks for the Streets. I hope that this award spreads Socks for the Streets' name even more than it already is, so it can grow bigger and grow across the entire city, and hopefully the state. For helping me get to this moment tonight, I would like to thank my mom, dad, sister, my family, my friends, and the entire Socks for the Streets board. You can stand up if you want. Jen, Yvette, Mary Jane, Vicky, Amber, Tom, and Maria. I would also like to thank everybody who has helped support Socks for the Streets in any way possible over these past few years. You are the reason Socks for the Streets is what it is today. And finally, well, I would also like to thank the Philadelphia Citizen for giving me this award tonight. Finally, for other people wanting to make a difference in the world, I just want to say believe in yourself, work hard, and know that every little bit counts. You can't make your dreams a reality unless you work hard to accomplish them and bring them to life. Congratulations to everyone winning an award tonight. Thank you, and have a great rest of your night.
Hold on. Before we give Declan a round of applause, and he deserves it. Declan's 15, he's learning, he's the founder of this organization. I'm gonna make a $500 contribution to Declan's organization, and I'm gonna challenge everybody in here, before you leave, come see this young man, whether it's $1 or $25 or $500 like me, it goes a long way for the work that he is doing as the founder of his own nonprofit. So we're gonna teach the young man how to make the axe, but tonight the councilman gonna do it for him. Can we give Declan a round of applause again, please? Thank you, sir. You already know, Declan. All these people need to write you a check.
And finally, welcome back to the stage, Roxanne Patel Shepalavi and Larry Platt.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It's been a long night. We appreciate you, and we hope that you're leaving filled with love and hope for Philadelphia. Thank you all. Have a great evening.